Afternoon, folks. So we're going to talk to you a bit about app creation. We're going to talk to you a bit about, well, you know, conventional ways in working, basically. Let me just, I suppose I ought to step back and just remind you. So I'm here from Dreamtek. That's the company actually directly behind this theatre, so you can rush over and talk to us afterwards if you so desire. We've got a lot of our illustrious developers and keen staff on the stand as well, so I'm sure they'll be happy to talk to you afterwards if there's anything that sort of floats your boat during this session. What I'm going to talk about is really, I suppose, I used to work at Apple. I ran 10 years, I ran the media markets at Apple in the UK. And I was effectively there. We launched lots of exciting stuff. We launched things like, you know, lots of the computers, lots of the operating systems and the applications. Even the app stores as well, the app marketplace, basically. I was part of that team that kicked that off over here, so that was very nice, very pleasant to be there. Now, at the time, part of the pitch that we had at Apple was to say to our customers, really, there's a democratization of IT. You don't necessarily nowadays need to have lovely, high-end, bespoke systems in order to do what you want to do with computers. In fact, we started off something called Bring Your Own Device, basically. We were very much at the BYOD instigators there, because there was a lot of people who wanted to use their Apple equipment in work, but they were being forced into using some other manufacturers and other platforms, basically. And of course, that was perhaps pushing people into, you know, thin client systems and trapped into bespoke systems, which cost a lot of money. So, what we're going to talk about today is app creation. But we're going to look at it from a LMS, or learning management education point of view. Because pretty much we're at the same standing point. In the education marketplace, in the learning system marketplace, you're in the situation where you've got a lot of partners out there that create learning management systems that really tie you into quite a bespoke way of working. Now, we're going to give you the opportunity to democratize that, to bring your own app to work, if you like, BYOA. I mean, it's not just about learning management systems, so if, for instance, you are interested in creating apps for whatever form of communication, maybe you just want to publish your own book, basically, or you want to publish your own magazine, same thing applies. What we're going to show you today is easy ways in which to do this, ways that don't necessarily need high-end, full-blown systems. Things that can sit on the front end that use tools that have been used for generations, well, certainly years anyway, as far as creation of good content, of compelling content is concerned. So, quick show of hands, who's heard of Adobe InDesign in the audience? So I can see, okay, so we've got some creative people who are either wearing waistcoats or have left their ponytails at home, but basically you know how to create content and obviously design stuff very well. And perhaps the other part of the audience appreciate the end result, because we've all read magazines, we've all perhaps seen websites nowadays that have been created out of InDesign as a tool as far as creation is concerned, as far as layout is concerned. So what I'm going to talk to you is, okay, rather than you having to start with just a little matrix, a little setup of how do I create my learning management tests with a nice bespoke system, we're going to say, okay, well, why don't we supplement that with things like InDesign to create that content and do it in that same way that anybody can do it, basically. Anybody can have a copy of InDesign, anybody can create a PDF nowadays. So if you can create a PDF, you can start creating the content, the tests, the quizzes for your learning management environments. So that's what we're going to look at. So, quick point so that you get sort of a frame of mind as far as I said, fast and easy. Cost effective. If this speaker actually works, basically. Woo, lovely microphone. We'll get a new battery one of these days. Quick, easy, and mimed at some points during this presentation. What we're going to talk about is how to create these sort of apps, and also EPUBs, because, you know, if you've all read ebooks or iBooks, perhaps that's actually a good way of delivering content as well, because nowadays we can create those with video embedded in there, with other types of interactive content embedded in there as well. And if you're doing that, it would be nice to know that you can start from about £150 per ebook. So we're not talking about something price point wise that is hundreds of thousands of pounds here. Likewise, if you want to create an app, we're starting at £500. So it's not something, again, that's cost prohibitive. But it's not going to be something that is essentially a souped up PDF either. We can give you more than that. So that's what we're going to show you how we work in this scenario. Of course, one of the important things from our perspective is video, because video, just to tell you about us, Dreamtek company that are very heavily involved in the video marketplace. If you see the guys at the show who are videoing the sessions, basically, they're Dreamtek employees. So we effectively offer a bunch of services where we go out, we set up studios, we actually bespoke studios for our customers. We also actually rent out staff as well, so you can contract staff from us as well, and we offer the service to be able to come in and offer video creation, video capture. Now that's where we came from. We sort of moved into this world of corporate and education establishment customers that said, okay, well, we want more than just video creation. We want to be able to communicate in different ways. When I say communicate, the microphone goes. There's novelty. But he's going to rush over with a manual microphone in a minute. That's going to make demonstrating the software a little bit trickier. But we've got into this situation where, okay, we're not just setting up studios nowadays, we're actually bespoking hardware products and software products as well. This thing here is a broadcast pod. You'll see a little bit more of it in a little bit later. It's a studio in a box. So for those companies, those organizations that are looking to do video creation, perhaps for your board, your key speakers, perhaps your key trainers to deliver content, rather than having to do it, in your own boardroom with somebody's spreadsheets behind you and a pin-up board on the wall, you can actually do it in a nice, controlled environment, which features audio cue, it features HD cameras, it features the ability to link this into a management system as well. So therefore, we do high-end solutions as well, but this will give you a sort of perspective of both ends of the coin, I hope. The key thing we got approached pretty much, or Dreamtek got approached pretty much at the start of I was still at Apple basically when we were just kicking off the app marketplace, was apps were obviously, and ebooks and digital communications were obviously coming in as a means of transferring knowledge, of transferring marketing, for instance, of advertising, yes, in a commercial function. Actually, because they've all got nice stores that you can use, that's a great way of delivering something you can make a revenue out of as well. So on a business basis, very good. But if you want to, obviously you can use this on an internal basis as well. And that's really where we want to take you, because we've decided, okay, we're going to get into this. We've got our own team of coders basically, and some of the guys, you might see Matt Wicks, he's our CTO, he's on the stand, looks vaguely like a Klingon, so if you do see him, be sure to go kapla. But if you don't spot him, you can always have a chat with some of our other guys there basically. But we've gone from this realm of, okay, communication via streaming video and streaming comms like that to embedding it into apps. So we started off by coding, but then we've looked for other ways in which we can make this that sort of more affordable price point that you were looking at the start there, basically. Now we've got three principles as far as our creation is concerned. Now be that as far as communications systems are concerned, streaming content, streaming videos, webinars, or building apps. But key principles are, okay, if we're going to create an app, or if we're going to create a communication system, we're going to create a learning management system, we want it to be, I feel like Norman Collier, something that's immersive, something that actually gets people engaged. And that's where video comes very much into the scenario as well, because it's engaging. If there's video moving on screen, your eyes get drawn to it. If you want to learn something, it's a darn sight easier to do it when you're actually learning something from a video. Nice to be able to supplement that with other things like text, like audio, etc., etc., animation, HTML as well. But if it's immersive, that's good. And it needs to be feeling like it's actually created for those devices. So it needs to feel as though, okay, if I've got this app on my tablet computer, lots of brands apply. I've still got lots of shares in Apple, so obviously an iPad would be preferable, thank you. But basically, if it feels like it's actually made for that environment, then that's great, because suddenly you don't feel like you're looking at a PDF that was originally written for text that actually was supposed to be printed, that now you're looking at an iPad where you're having to zoom in and out in order to try and read stuff. Not good. Not a great learning experience, not a great communication experience. So we want it to be immersive and feel like it's actually aimed at that device. And lastly, of course, what we want to do, and what I'm going to show you, is give you the opportunity to create it yourself. Not just to say to you, okay, you have to come to us or companies like us and use our pre-done templates in order to create stuff, or expect to pay us vast amounts of money to create these individual pieces of communication. No, why don't you do it yourselves? It's far easier if you can. So that's what we want to get you to, basically. So, like I say, we started pretty much the same way a lot of other people started. We said, okay, if I want to create an app, let's code it. I have lots of, as I say, very intelligent people. Lots of our dev team shouldn't be let out into the sunlight too often, basically, but they are very good as far as their technical acumen is concerned, and they build apps, which is great. However, that does mean that what they do is more expensive. So we looked for a means by which we can actually make it more affordable for yourself. And of course, like a lot of you, we ended up looking at PDFs, because we all understand PDFs, we all know where they're coming from as far as communication is concerned, so great, we started creating systems that were built around turn a PDF into an app. Trouble is, they started okay, but it pretty much ends up looking like a PDF. So okay, we'd like to be able to enrich that further. So then we moved into using InDesign as a starting block for this. So okay, we can use InDesign. Now half the audience we saw knew what InDesign is, the other half perhaps maybe know about it but don't use it. Some of you don't know it at all. It's the standard tool for laying out pages in the magazines, in newspapers, in you name it, as far as printed literature is concerned, that's where it comes from. Now it's great, and this time last year I was standing here and I was showing demonstrations of how to use the software. Superb. It was a great way of actually creating an app and adding in HTML, adding in video, adding in streamed video, adding in perhaps quizzes and information. Superb. The trouble is, for the half of the audience that don't use InDesign and don't want to use InDesign, okay, there was a bit of a barrier there, really, isn't there? So we've actually ended up going back to the joys of PDFs. And this is courtesy of our partner, Fattest, who create a superb cloud-based solution, which we integrate around, basically, that gives you the opportunity to say, okay, great, I can start with a PDF, but I can create any form of app that I want to create, as far as, okay, apps on any of the stores, iOS, Amazon, the joys of the Google Play Store. I can create HTML-based apps, I can create web-based apps, Flash-based apps, or I can even create ebooks. So I've got that capability of communicating and generating content, but also enriched content, i.e. dropping video in, dropping automation in, good stuff like that. We're going to come to learning management shortly as well. This is the sort of stuff that you can create with this, just to give you an example. I would be showing you live apps, but that means tapping into the joys of the Wi-Fi network here, which doesn't seem to be working for me. So basically we're talking about stuff here. I mean, this at the basic level is very much that sort of PDF style starting point, but even that has this little narrative at the bottom here with the little arrows, allows you to do guided reading, so you can actually move around. And from a learning management point of view, that's very powerful, because you can guide people through an article, through an instruction manual, through any form of content, basically, move them onto the video. You can then build up that to that full-blown sort of interactivity, more animation, etc., and embed things like video in there as well. So you've got that capability of either streaming or embedding video into your apps as well. So it's giving you a very much a rich and compelling experience. And also, lastly, obviously relevant for those of us in the learning management environment, gives you the opportunity to add in quizzes and tests as well. So now we're going to see how well I can hold a microphone and use a computer and demonstrate at the same time, because I'm going to show you two options. I've mentioned we can create things on a bespoke basis. So I'm going to quickly, for those of you who use InDesign, I'm going to pop into InDesign. For those who don't use it, you're going to see what InDesign is. I'm going to quickly show you how to really, very briefly, create an app, because this is all about fast and easy app creation. The good thing is that the plugin I'm going to show you is free to download. You can produce your proof of content free through this. You can share that with people free through this. The only thing you'd need is a copy of InDesign, basically. So it's going to give you a heads up of how to do the content, how to do the creation. But then I'm going to look at, actually, nowadays, that's the more complex way of doing things. I'm going to look at the even easier way of doing stuff. So let's start off with quickly popping out of the presentation here and trying not to get any feedback from our speaker system. So for those who haven't seen it, that's InDesign. It's a page layout program. As you can see here, I've got effectively a couple of pages on the go here, so that's the front page, second page here, so this one's still in formation. You know, you could import existing InDesign work. I'm just building something from the word go here. I'm going to drop on a page element here, so I'm just going to drop in something to populate. I could pop into here video. I could pop into here images. I'm going to stick in here perhaps a slideshow, because what I've got up here is a nice little couple of plugins. One's a project management plugin, which is how we sort of see how we're laying stuff out, how we choose which tablets to go out to. So, you know, which devices to go out to, which formats to go out to. But what I've also got is an interactivity tablet. Now, this is kind of cool. This is giving you a real sort of view of, okay, the capability to produce stuff very, very easily. It almost, and this sort of slightly maligns the power behind the tool. It almost looks like a till in a well-known burger chain. You know, you're getting to choose which particular option you want. Do I want a slideshow? Do I want fries with that, etc., etc. But really, what it's indemnifying is this is really easy. If I can press a button to choose what I want to drop in there, be it video, be it HTML, be it types of quizzes, be it links through, make something an animated button, make something a powerful button. Great, I can do that. Down here I've got things like quizzes and so on that I can also add in, pre-done basically, so there's some extra bits we can add into the scenario. But let's say I just want to pop in a video at this point. See, I've moved my head, haven't I? That's trouble. I'll try not to move my head whilst looking at the screen. So basically, great, I've got the opportunity here, I've clicked on the slideshow button. I can choose a slideshow with or without the little icons of the images at the bottom. I'm going to choose without. I'm going to create a slideshow. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, I've got choose my content, so let's go and choose some files. Let's go and pick some images of China. Okay, that'll do. Going to open those up in there, and that's instantly going to pop those in. So it's really like, it's almost as easy as building PowerPoint or Keynote types slideware. And I can pop in here, I can add in things like Ken Burns effects, so that's going to give it that nice sort of move around type effect, and just enable animation there. Once I've done that, that's it. I don't have to worry about laying out and so on. I mean, I can do if I want to go in there and I want to frame things up a bit better, I can do exactly that. I can produce in points and out points for that move across the images as well. But it's very, very simple to do. So if I just zoom back out again and click on the other tab, which is the project tab, if I want to generate it now and see what it's going to look like, over here I've got the iOS simulator. Now I could proof this to any type of tablet. Great. Here I've got the iOS simulator running, which is just basically a free means of simulating your iPad devices. It only runs on the Mac in this case, but obviously I'm showing you on the Mac. Here I've got the app which we're going to use as our viewer here, so we can see we've got a couple of different iterations already of this particular build. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click this generate project. I'm going to generate a project here. It's going to, first of all, it's going to render all those images that are in there, so I've just added in some extra images. So it's going to make sure that they're optimized for being in an app, so it's sort of, reducing down the file size, etc., etc. There's some good, really excellent technology in here. Things like, if you are, once you've created an app and you've downloaded it either through the app stores, any of the app stores out there basically, exception of Windows perhaps, I suppose. There's different ways in which we can address that. But anybody using any Windows apps? No, okay, I thought we had one for a minute. Could have got the camera out. But basically, if you are creating apps, you can deliver that through the open app stores, and obviously you can set a price on that if you want to. Or it could be free and just a means by which you're using those app stores to communicate. Or what we could do is we could be using this to basically work on an enterprise basis within an organization. So be it within a learning organization like a university, or within a corporate or a business type environment behind a firewall. But I'm just going to test this now. It's quickly created that app, so it's only a 2-page app, so it's not exactly going to be too stunning. It's straight away seeing my laptop as being the place to proof it in this case. If I'd plugged in anything else, then great, it would have seen my iPads or whatever tablets. You can see now over in the proofing app where there was 2 versions, there's now a 3rd version popped in there, so I can quickly pop on our new iterations. There it is. We've got the first page of it. We've got some scrollable text here. We've already got a moving slideshow on page 1, and then there we are straight onto page 2. We've already got our moving slideshow that I popped in. So as simple as that basically, and we've got the standard sort of environments of being able to change our orientation on whether it's portrait or landscape as well. So it becomes a layout exercise and making sure you're getting it right for your particular environment. But hopefully this is giving you an idea, as I say, of the difficult way of creating an app in this scenario. And by difficult, I mean it's really simple, it's very powerful, it couldn't be more simple, basically, for you to do this. And it's a free plugin, so come and find out, come and have a chat with us on the Dreamtek stand directly afterwards if you want to find out where to get the plugin. But more to the point, that's going to now seem difficult compared to what we can do now as far as the automated workflow is concerned. Because we've got automated ways in which we can do this. And this is cloud-based, and unfortunately, as I say, because of the joy at an exhibition, I can't get onto the Wi-Fi or I can't get the Wi-Fi to work to show you the cloud-based functionality. But I've got a bunch of slides here which will just take you through it, basically. Because what we can do is we can have a fully blown automated process. So if I want to create a bunch of apps, and I want to start off with, just a bunch of assets in a media asset management solution, i.e., a bunch of images, bunch of videos, bunch of text, and combine those all together using XML, metadata, that sort of stuff, I can do that. I can have that automated workflow. That's the more prosaic version of this. The even easier version is, I've got a bunch of PDFs, and I want to create apps out of them. And I've just got a spreadsheet which has got a list of those PDFs. So say I want to time it, so I've got different iterations of this training, of this communication piece going off. That's all I need, PDFs and a spreadsheet. Do we all know what PDFs are? And we all know what spreadsheets are. There's a look of enthusiasm about that. Wow, interesting audience. But at the end of the day, that's what we need in order to do this. It is extremely simple. We can say, okay, this is the process. It's not particularly exciting, but it is when you think about what's going on. This is a cloud-based service. All you need to do, first of all, to start the process off, is log in and give it a name. So name what your app is going to be, not the additions. You will need to name those as well, but basically what the app's going to be. Choose where you want to publish it. And as I say, we've got pretty much every output under the sun, including things like EPUBs as well. So if you're going to go to readers like the Kindle readers as opposed to the Kindle Fire, for the full app running side of things. If you want to go to Sony readers, if you want to go to Kobo readers. By the way, Fattest, who create the solution here, the actual core of the solution, they're owned by Kobo, or rather owned by Rakuten, that large Japanese or international company that runs things like Play.com as well. So we're talking another mammoth company as far as the funding and the support behind this is concerned. But we're going to choose where to publish, and then we're going to say, okay, where do we want to host it? Because what we do need to pay attention to is, I'm going to pop my app onto iTunes, say, and onto Amazon Marketplace. But I'm going to have a load of video there, I'm going to have a load of content for various different versions of my training media, or even if I'm going to be holding it internally, I need to just host that content somewhere. The good thing is you're not tied into anybody to do that. You can host that yourself as well. If you've looked into doing this sort of stuff before, you've found perhaps that some people tie you into that. No, we can help you if you want. We're an Amazon S3 house, so we can host for you, but we can also say to you, no, just host yourself, fine. And then basically, that spreadsheet, this is where you need to just put the list of, okay, I'm going to do an app which is going to have content on, I don't know, training about tax information, or training about accountancy packages, or training, what you perhaps want to learn about. That's the stuff. You can just put a list together, tell it some information, how many pages are going to be in this particular piece of information, this particular app, and then add the issues. Simple as that. Away you go. Very easy to do as far as your uploading is concerned. And just schedule it. You can even say, okay, tell you what, I'll upload everything now, and I'll put in there a schedule of when they're going to come out throughout the year, or throughout a particular time period. So I could set all of this up ahead of time, go off, have my holiday in the Bahamas, spend some of those Apple shares I've got, and come back and everything's been done for me. Lovely place to be. Don't forget, buy some more Apple kit. And the last thing, of course, is to go into the actual system and check that it's ready to go, just before you get the ticket for the holiday, So that's the important last step, just to make sure it's there. But of course, this is making it sound, well, you could just do this straight from a PDF. So that goes back to where we were at the earliest stage of this, where we're just not getting that much interactivity in there. How do I make it more than a PDF? You've already seen with the InDesign side of things, I've got the ability to add in videos very easily. I've got the ability to add in HTML. I've got the ability to stream in HTML, stream in videos, make things active. Great. We'd like to be able to do the same thing again. Well, you can. But you can start off with everything that you've done in your PDFs in the first place, you can maintain. You can have all that interactivity that's in there, keep it live, and then great, okay, that means you don't have to start adding in links into websites and so on. If it's already in the PDF, it's already there. Lovely. All that is maintained. But we want to go further. You probably can't see it, but there's a button up there marked Enrich, because you're now in this cloud authoring environment. As I say, you just need to be able to log into this on a device. You don't need InDesign on your machine for this particular part of it. Just logging in there. You're able to go in and enrich those in the same sort of ways that we've been showing already. So therefore I can say, okay, I can add audio in, he says. I can add in pictures, for instance, so I can drop in images. I can, again, drop in slideshows. I can annotate it. I can add in video, for instance, as well, so I can start popping in video in there. Or I can stream in video. I mean, this is an important thing. It's more a case of what's the best practice. It comes down to how big do you want an app to be. Okay, if I've got the ability to drop in video there and it's not going to make it too big, cool. That's where you should talk to us about how to create your videos and get them to the right format, the right size. So come and have a chat with us, because that's obviously one of our core skill sets as well, basically, at Dreamtek. But other things we've got in there? Guided reading. I sort of told you about it earlier on, basically, this ability to actually guide your reader or your learner through the process, to say, okay, we want you to read that bit first, then go to that video, go to that bit of reading. And of course, what we also like to do is to be able to track this as well. We'd also like to be able to say, okay, once people have gone through that process, we'd like to know that they've gone through that process. And this is where there's an advantage in creating an app, because you can add in analytics as well behind all of this. Extremely powerful. You can start saying, okay, who has actually had this? If you're in your own enterprise environment, you can really control that. Where has it been read? What's been read? Am I wasting time creating HTML when I don't need to? Am I wasting time adding in images when I don't need to? Is the text completely pointless because all people are doing is watching the video? Learn about it. And that's absolutely where analytics can feature into this as well. Last step, publish it. Now, that was easy, wasn't it? Sounded easy when I did it up there, and to be honest, I mean, that's the process, so it is easy. Start from a PDF. We all can use PDFs. We can now all make apps using this cloud authoring service. Life is now a happier and easier and cheaper place. What about learning systems? Out of the audience, who's looking at learning systems here? Who's involved in learning systems? Who has a learning system? Quick show of hands. Some of you do, some of you don't. Who's wanting to create content that might be learning content? At the moment, there's a lot of people, perhaps I've spoken to already, that are having learning systems. They don't really need learning systems. They just need to deliver content that is going to allow them to have learning capabilities in there. Well, the good thing is, either way, the same little suite of icons and actions and additions that we showed you earlier on, which allow you to automate and add in that content, add in quizzes and so on. By all means, please come to the stand afterwards. We can show you some live apps that have actually got all of this learning capability built in as well. But that same thing is straight away there for you to use to include in your communications. So you've instantly got compliant learning systems, abilities, quizzes, questionnaires, already set up in the same solution to deliver this. It's all Tin Can API compliant. Who's using Tin Can API? Cool, okay, so you know that this is SCORM compliant stuff. It's the next level of SCORM compliance. So it fits in with pretty much every learning management system here, basically. And if it doesn't, I'm sure it will do shortly, but that. So it's kind of, right, I said we'd take you into an area where we democratized, where we got you into an environment of you don't have to buy into full-blown learning management systems, high-end learning management systems that cost a fortune. Okay, so it's something that now basically you can actually design something, use the same standard tools that have been used for creation of compelling content on 2D basis, on written basis, on design, magazine, etc. basis for years. You can now use it as far as this is concerned, or even if you're just coming from a PDF, you can start souping that up. You don't have to be trapped into just, this is our template for creating your test that you're going to give to your learners. You can't do anything more with it. All right? So, Hopefully that's a good thing. As I say, the good thing is that it all fits into a nice system where you can deliver to, pretty much any type of content to any type of device out there, basically. So come and have a chat with us, and we can run through and we can show you examples of everything that's being used out there. As I say, for those of you who weren't at the start of it, it's not expensive. At the starting point here for creating ebooks, and don't underestimate the power of ebooks, because if you're delivering to areas where not everybody has either the budget or the capability to have lovely tablet computers, but they have got some form of computer where they can read an ebook, because you can read ebooks on desktops after all, then great, you can be creating content which has got things like your same level of video content in there, all delivered via an ebook basis as well. And that, in some respects, is cheaper. But if you want to go into the app side of things, it's starting from £500. We're not talking megabucks here. Key thing, though, when it comes to creating an app, we're not talking about something where there's any revenue sharing. We're not talking about something where you have to pay for every download that people make of your app. Great, not a case. The Fattest system that we're using here doesn't work on that basis. If you host it yourself, lovely. You've picked up all that hosting cost yourself. Most importantly, and I must stress this, analytics. If you want to learn about who is reading, who is consuming, who is viewing, who is understanding or actually doing what they should do, who is compliant with your requirements of communication, build in analytics. And you can only do that really effectively through an app-based environment. Okay? So, come and have a chat with us about that if that's more relevant to you. Last thing, video. We really ought to cover it. I just reminded you at the start that that's what Dreamtek has come from as a video creation company. We've got a whole bunch, as I say, of abilities to set up studios, freelance staff for you, set up or create or edit videos for you. We also have our own video asset management solution around the back end of what we do. So stuff that we create either in studios or, for instance, in our broadcast pod there, can be uploaded into our own cloud-based video solution, which allows people to be audited and tracked and make sure that if you are producing some communication material, A, it gets edited, and B, it gets tracked, and C, if you've created something and uploaded it to the web, an app, wherever it may be, and it isn't actually on message, you can find out who it was that did that. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, who knows. Some wry smiles from some of the audience there. That's the important stage. But also, even on the video side of things, even if you're delivering video through YouTube, etc., we can build in analytics. So therefore, again, must stress the importance of analytics in all of this. Right, so that's it from me, folks. I'm just going to say thank you very much. If you do want to talk to me or talk to any of the guys, come and have a chat. We've got a lot of the guys on the stand can show you, run you through a lot of the information about the app creation side of things, the Fattest system, our video creation services, for instance. There's information there. I can tell you about where to download the free app for creation of, if you want to have a go at creating the apps yourself, then that's all there. And don't forget, if you do happen to see our CTO, he looks vaguely like this, so don't forget to say kapla to him. That's it from me, folks. Thank you very much for your time, and maybe speak to you on the stand behind you. Thank you kindly. Cheers.